of mine, well, it's teaching me so many things, like how to love and how to lose and how to choose.
Well, hello, this is Linda Carbonell from Walking Through Life TV show. Today I happen to have a guest from here in Hartford. Her name is Olivia, let's see if I say it right,
Lapierre.
Lapierre, sorry. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, Olivia, you live here in Hartford now, or?
Yes, I've lived in Hartford for a couple years now. And I moved from the Northeast Kingdom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So do you go to college here in the area?
Nope, I go to college at Linden State.
Where's that?
It's in Lyndonville, Vermont, so it's about an hour north.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you take at college?
I study applied psychology and human services, and I'm graduating in May.
In May. Wow.
Yeah, it's exciting.
That is exciting. Big party, huh?
Yeah.
And I understand you work right over to the co-op over here.
Yep, I work part-time at the Upper Valley Food Co-op.
You like that there?
Yeah, it's a really great place.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's awesome. Great food.
I know. Yeah. I go over there whenever I'm here for lunch to have something quick from there. So, you want to tell me a little bit about when you first moved to Hartford?
Yeah, so like I said, I lived in the Northeast Kingdom, but I'm originally from Mekelle, Ethiopia. And so living in the Northeast Kingdom was very different than living in Hartford, Vermont, just because this area tends to be a little bit more progressive and liberal compared to the Northeast Kingdom. And so I was able to build a community here, find an awesome job at the Upper Valley Food Co-op, and I enjoyed living in Vermont a lot more when I was living here than I did when I was living in the Northeast Kingdom.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
So you like White River right here, the downtown White River with all the artists and.
Yeah, I love downtown
That's
White
the
River.
community.
It is. It's really cute, and it's just like such a great community. There's a lot of activists in this community, which is awesome. There's just so many different events and workshops and trainings happening. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
I know. I was trying to think of what I could do for the community, you know, outside stuff or whatever. And since I was a kid, I always liked fairies. I don't know why, but I always liked fairies. So last year I decided I was going to build a fairy garden in my front lawn, you know, so when the kids go by, and I got to tell you, more people go by and they loved it. And it made me feel really special, you know, that the people were saying how much they appreciated that little you know, extra beautiful thing in the downtown White River, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So it does make you feel good, you know.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good community.
Yeah, it is. I know they have a lot of events the first Fridays of the month.
Yeah.
And yeah. You like that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And the Upper Valley Food Co-op does First Fridays.
Do they? What do they do there?
So live music, samples of different foods, and yeah, it's a good time.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So they have cheese and
Yep,
all the
there's
goodies.
sometimes there's cheese. There's usually, like, when you enter in the front, like going towards the cooler, like a table with lots of free samples, and yeah, it's great. And the live music is always amazing, and it's local artists, and yeah, so it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when they first started having that and going around the town seeing all the places that had the open house and everything that was available. It was amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was like, wow. I mean, this little town is quite the...
It's pretty lively.
Yeah, it's the artistic town, you know. It's got, you know, anything and everything you can imagine, I think, you know.
Yes,
I mean, I
definitely.
love, like, the Main Street Museum and
Yeah.
all that stuff, you know.
Main Street Museum, Revolution. It's just
Yeah, Revolution, wasn't that good?
Yeah.
They inspired me to do my own fashion show.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Awesome.
you have to see it sometime.
Awesome.
I got it up on Facebook.
Kim's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I went, well, I did one here, right upstairs on the second floor. Yeah, so I decided that I was going to do a little fashion show, show off my outfits, you know, because I'm a pretty confident woman, you know.
Yeah.
So I decided to do that. It was a 10-minute film, and then I just talked about it a little bit, and I put it on Facebook, and I got a lot of likes. There's something
That's
about,
awesome.
you know, standing up for yourself, you know, or not really standing up for yourself, but showing your beauty,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely.
And it not only makes others feel good, but it makes yourself feel good too.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Do you do things like that here in this community? Do you have anything that you do here you like Main Street Museum, going to their Glory Days parades or anything like that? Have you gone to them?
I haven't,
Ooh, you do know what you're missing.
but I do spend some time at Main Street Museum. I'm a part of a nonprofit called Upper Valley Young Liberals, and we've had several meetings at Main Street Museum. And then we used to have Second Fridays, which is a spin-off of First Fridays, but for us, so that way we wouldn't like detract from other First Friday events happening. But Second Fridays were awesome. We do karaoke night and dancing and yeah. So
Oh. Well, it sounds like fun.
yeah,
So it's
definitely.
the second Fridays.
Yep.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
nice.
I also just love when I have a day off, just walking downtown. It's like a short walk, so I'll do like a couple different loops, but it's like awesome, like to go to Revolution and
Yep.
Tucker Bugs and the little floor store at the end.
Yep.
I could spend hours there, but
I know.
it's like a fun little walk to do, and it's relaxing and.
Yeah, and then they have the little park downtown with the
Exactly,
You
the
seen those
park.
geese?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Those are beautiful.
They are beautiful.
They are
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I do that too. I gotta say, in the summertime, every night at 6:30, my husband and I will walk down to that park, and we have our own little bench that we sit at. We
Yeah.
sit down there for a half hour to an hour before going home.
Yeah.
But that's our little ritual. We love doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a nice walk. Go to the trains. My sister comes from South Carolina. We'll go.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll go check it out and look all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, downtown's like a little like treasure box. Like I like enough people know about it where it's fun and you can socialize, but not like too many where it's like, oh my God, I don't want to go down there because it's just like crowded and yeah, so much hype for it. But yeah, so it's great.
It's fun in the summertime too, because you can be I could be sitting at my house and all of a sudden hear music. So come down the road and then there it is, right there at the Hotel Coolidge parking lot there. It's great.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Now, when I lived in Plymouth, New Hampshire, or California, never had anything like that.
What part of California?
I was in Orange County, so Bakersfield, Ridgecrest.
Nice.
Yeah, I lived there for I think 11 years, and then I came back here.
Nice.
I grew up in Plymouth, New Hampshire.
Okay.
That's where I
nice.
grew up, and then I went to California when I was 18, and I came back in 1994.
That's the year I was born.
Really, 1994?
Yeah.
Oh no! Wow. You know I don't have any children, so I can't compare being a mother. Although I have a niece that's going to be giving birth pretty soon, and I'm so excited because she asked me to go. And
Oh, nice. Congrats.
I'm like, I told her, I said, you don't know what kind of a blessing you just gave me. I've
Aw.
never seen a birth, so
Nice.
it's just like, you know,
That's
I
exciting.
get blessings and gifts from God like that all the time, so it's great.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's some of the other things that you like doing? I mean, when you're not in White River, where do you go?
When I'm not in White River, I'm usually at school in Lindenville,
Yeah.
or I'm at my internship in Rutland, or I don't know, maybe traveling. I like to travel to like Boston, and my sister lives in Washington State, about an hour north of Seattle. So I like to go out there. I just recently came back from there. Yeah, when I'm not in my river, I genuinely like to just travel.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm just the opposite. I don't like to travel.
Really?
Yeah.
I think White River is in such a perfect location because it's so it's like far enough from like the cities where you can just like feel like you're in a rural area and like, it's relaxed and calm, but it's close enough where you're like, okay, I want to go to Boston, and a couple hours there, a couple hour drive and you're there.
Yep.
Or New York City, or Montreal and Quebec. So it's in a good central location, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know I traveled to South Carolina, but that was by plane. And yeah, that was a good trip. I liked that. I liked going down there. And then, but I do, in the summertime, yeah, I do travel, I guess. I take the bus from here to North Conway because my sister is a trail guide up there and EMT and all that. And so she's got a nice little house up there, and I go up and spend a weekend with her sometimes, and it's
Nice.
a lot of fun. She's got these little chippy chipmunks that live in her yard that pop out, you know. And she gives me a handful of sunflower seeds. Said, sit there and they'll come get it. And they do. They come right out and eat right out of your hand. It's so cute.
That is really
Oh my
cute.
goodness, yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful. I've experienced a lot of things here. One of my favorite places to go in this area in Windsor is the Bath of Life.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever been there.
Mm-mm.
Ah, that would be a great place for you to check out. Wonderful.
Yeah, I've never been.
It just goes through a path of life, you know, from birth to young years. You know, they have like a big maze that you go through, and the education and
wow.
the art. It's like a big trail type thing, but it's got all this big art. I don't know if you've seen the big thing out there, the big like tall man.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, they have those out there all over the place, but there's a place for connections and relaxations, and it was just beautiful. I just totally loved it.
That's awesome.
It's a great place to meditate and get some inspiration, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I do that a lot. Yeah, I need to sometimes.
I wish I could meditate. I am not. I'm just like way too. I don't have the patience because I'm just like always like go 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 go. So.
Yeah. My sister's like that too, and I just try to tell her, sometimes you just need to breathe, you know, breathe.
Yeah. Sometimes I use cooking as a form of meditation
that's
like
great,
it's like
yeah.
fun chopping things and then like throwing them and watching it sizzle, and like I just like throw spices and I get like really
Yeah.
theatrical about it. Yeah.
That does. You put the music on too?
Yep.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too when
Yeah.
I'm cooking. I'm making cookies or something. I'll run around with a spatula. Hey, I
Yeah.
can sing.
Definitely.
Of course, I can't sing though. But who knows that when you run around the house and you're the only one there listening, you think you can sing great. So,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can sing. Look at that. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you can tell us about you?
As far as like anything specific?
No, just whatever you want to talk about or whatever you have that you want to share.
Well, I guess, I mean, like, one thing that I do like to do in the Upper Valley, well, I guess I don't really like to do it, but I do it, is my friend and I organize and facilitate community discussions. And the community discussions talk about systemic racism, and every community discussion focuses on something specific to systemic racism. So white supremacy, microaggressions, cultural appropriation, intersectionality, feminism, many different topics, and basically therefore open to the community, and is a way to break the taboo of talking about racism. And so there's no like, it will go into it, like for example, saying that today we're going to talk about cultural appropriation, and although we have some type of outline of what we want to discuss, so for example, we usually like show a Francesca Ramsey decoded video, and then which kind of lightens up the mood, and then we just ask people what their reactions are, and just have like a really open dialogue. But if it goes with like, if it just goes into like another topic, but within the realm of talking about systemic racism, we also encourage that too. And mostly because there's not a lot of spaces to be able to talk about these issues without feeling like you are perpetuating the problem by
Right, yeah.
talking about it,
Yeah.
which is a total misconception. But one of the reasons why we started the community discussions is because during the elections, we discovered that so many people within our social circles just did not have an understanding of the issues specifically that impact Black communities. They were lacking understanding of historical events, and they just didn't have historical context to a lot of these issues. So, for example, not knowing about Black Wall Street or whatever it may be. And it was just like really appalling when you find out that so many people in your social circles don't understand how you exist in the world. And so basically we're like, well, I mean, how many spaces do we have to be able to talk about these issues comfortably? And really there isn't really any spaces to talk about these issues. Although we want people to feel comfortable coming into these conversations, we also want to make them uncomfortable, because you're not doing the work if you're not uncomfortable. You're talking about systemic racism and white supremacy. These are uncomfortable topics, and if you're comfortable, you're probably not doing the work. You're probably not fully engaged or comprehending or really like letting it impact you. Yeah, so it's a little different than Surge, where Surge is more educating white people, where this one we just want to have discussions. We encourage people to, like, if there's a concept or if there's more like vocabulary you don't understand, go home, look it up. We encourage them to go to Surge for those to get a deeper understanding of some of the things that we're talking about.
So where do these discussions happen and when?
They happen sporadically. We're not like an organization. We want to keep it very low key as far as that, because we don't want, there's no point of having a label or like association with an organization, because then you might deter some people from coming.
Right.
So we try to change the evenings that we have them, and the spaces to encourage people from different backgrounds to come. So let's say you work every Tuesday night. We don't want to have them just on Tuesday nights.
Right.
For those people who are always working on Tuesday nights. Or like if we had them specific at the town hall or something. Well, what if someone doesn't feel comfortable in that setting?
Right.
Let's keep changing it so that way more people come. And we've been able to have like a diverse group of people be able to come, and yeah, so it's been good.
Yeah, for sure. So do you make out flyers or something so people know, or
No,
you don't advertise?
It's just word of mouth.
Yeah.
We have a Facebook page.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Well, nobody told me that.
It's called Upper Valley Gets Shit Done.
Upper Valley Gets Shit Done?
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm hoping I'm hoping to kind of like step away as we develop into more of a groove of having consistent meetings and people, just so that way I can find other ways that I can support people of color. And hopefully through Black Lives Matter, Vermont, or whatever it may be. But in this specific space, I don't feel like I'm supporting people of color to my best ability. But I did think it was important to kind of get that ball rolling as far as like getting the discussion going, and then letting other people like lead it and organize it.
I think it takes great courage, and I think you're doing a wonderful job just by taking it on, and these are the things that makes a difference in, the world, your community, and, whatever, and I just really appreciate you and things that you do.
Thanks.
And I know we were talking to Dylan a little bit of ideas of maybe having you do some sort of a little talk show or something like that. And to me, I think something like that is needed in media, as we were talking about. And I think it would be great. I just really want to encourage you on doing that. It is so rewarding. I mean, it's like I said, I found my purpose within walking through life. And, something clicked in me, and that was this is it for me, And it can be that way for anybody that wants to create media of any kind, And even if you're not doing it all the time, it can be passed on to somebody else. And this is how people learn. And, we can create this great CATV station, and have producers and talk shows and fun shows and,
Yeah.
fashion shows, whatever kind of shows you want.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be awesome to have like a Black woman-run show talking about Black feminism and self-care, and
I think that would be great. I'm
Yeah.
really encouraged that that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, definitely.
So is there anything else that you'd like to talk about today?
I mean, maybe briefly about the white privilege.
Sure.
Yeah, so Linda had asked me to talk about white privilege, and an important dialogue came of that conversation, in which was after I had originally had said, yes, sure, I'll talk about it, even though I was like, no, I don't want to talk about it, no! It's such a difficult conversation to have with white people. Especially like in my experience, white people of lower socioeconomic status or are marginalized in other ways. It's hard to talk to that audience specifically because they're like, well, I'm white and I'm not privileged, like I'm poor, or I worked really hard for what I have, or I'm marginalized in X, Y, and Z. But basically, after I had said yes, I had said that I don't feel comfortable talking about it. And part of the reason why I don't feel comfortable talking about it is because it's not a Black person's, or even in any circumstance, a marginalized person's responsibility to educate other people. So for me, it's not my responsibility to educate you on my oppression or white privilege or whatever it may be, especially because there's a plethora of resources, books, videos, blogs, different pages, articles, magazines, whatever, etc. There's just so many resources out there, and if you don't understand, look it up. And it's that like entitlement piece that like you have to educate me. I don't have to go look up information, and that's totally wrong. You do. I was recently at a racial justice workshop, and a white male had asked me, what is it like to be Black, and how has racism impacted you? And this is a question that I get very frequently. And basically I'm like, what is it like to be white? Do you know what it's like to be white? Do you understand how you interact in this society, in a society that is built on and continues to be built on white supremacy culture? Because if you don't understand what it's like to be white, how can you understand what it's like to be Black? Being Black isn't something you will ever be able to understand, but you do have an opportunity to understand how you understand what it's like to be white, and part of that is understanding white privilege, white fragility, and all the different things that influence how you are treated in this society and how you interact with people of color. But and it's such a loaded question. Aside from all of that, it's also just a loaded question. Like, you want me to explain my oppression in like a sentence for you? No, I'm not gonna do it. I refuse to educate you. You educate yourself. And because you have a bigger platform than I do, so there's no excuses. Do better. Educate yourself. Don't come to me Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not,
we
your,
need to
I'm
do
not your
it.
internet.
We need to do the work.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you got to do the work.
We got to do the work. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how you learn. Do the work.
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't think a lot of white people understand that when they ask the question, what is it like to be black, that having to explain the how racism has impacted you is resurfacing that trauma. Yeah. It's like would you like it's just so traumatic. Every incident is so traumatic. And to have to ask someone to resurface that trauma, that comes from a place of entitlement. That you're worthy of understanding that you're craving to understand their experiences. That you're going to put them and like they're going to be at the expense for your craving to learn more about them. It just doesn't make sense to me, and it's just, yeah. Absolutely.
I can see your point in that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. And I hear it a lot in Vermont, and I think one reason is because I hear Vermonters always defaulting to, well, there's just not black people here. So,
oh, I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so how am I supposed to know if there's no black people? Well, first of all, Vermonters are very good at, and more liberal and progressive Vermonters are good at saying, well, how do we get more people of color here? Well, how do we, like, why would you expect people of color to come here when you're not even treating the people of color who do live here well? And then to say that there's no black people here, you're basically telling us, oh, we don't meet your quota for how many black people have to exist in your communities to meet the quota of a black community. You're totally, you are just ignoring that we do, like the ones that do exist here. And also, black people don't have to exist where you live in order for you to understand their oppression. Just like any marginalized group, in the Northeast Kingdom, there was no Muslim people in my community. Does that mean that I get to be ignorant about how they're oppressed, or about their culture, or whatever, or their religion, or whatever, because they're not in my community, and therefore I don't have to worry about it? And that's a really dangerous thing that's a very dangerous mindset to have. In addition, like our president, like he lived in New York City. He was around plenty of black people. That doesn't mean anything. There's no correlation between how many black people live in your community and the racism that happens or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, I just so appreciate your words, your courage, and and I won't say education, but this makes me want to go look on the internet and get more educated.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and I
encourage you to look at black run blogs and YouTube channels and authors and whatever. That's where the true education comes in.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
And I think as a community, we can all do that. And I think Olivia has given some great opportunities to things to look up and, get curious about how we can communicate better and get better educated ourselves, So I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think that your message is so clear. I really do. And I hope that others will take on the research and looking into internet education and connecting in some way so we can have a community that's safe, compassionate, and that loves everybody. And that's what I want so much. I really do want that.
Yeah, and to and to bring it a step further though, it's great if everyone feels compassion towards one another, but we still have to address institutionalized racism and
Oh,
systemic
yeah.
racism. And so we have to look at like who in our community is holding most of that power? Is it the white males in this community? Is it the white-led select board or school board member that only has one black individual? Much of these institutions here and all across the U.S. are run by white people, and more specifically white males. So unless we change that, there is no dismantling systemic racism, institutionalized racism, structural racism. The interpersonal, it's important to address interpersonal racism, but I mean, just because we're cool doesn't mean that I'm not still experiencing racism at a structural level. And yeah, I mean, and like specifically like with Hartford, with the traffic stops, having such high traffic stops, I think black people in Hartford are 6 times more likely to be searched than a white person. I mean, you can all go home and look at the statistics. I think the Valley News just did an article about it, but,
Yep.
And then the 1.2 black people make up 1.2% of the population in Vermont, but 10.7% of the prison population. I mean, that means 10 times there are 10 times more black people in prison than there are walking on your streets. So, I mean, that's the issue. And not to say that interpersonal racism isn't an issue, because it definitely is, and it's yeah. I mean, there's no word to describe the atrocity of it.
That movie, The 13th, explained a lot about that.
Yeah,
too.
13th is great.
I think that
for
was a great, yeah.
Yeah, mass incarceration.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a great movie. There's
I
a
didn't
lot
get
of
to
great
watch it.
movies too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and books. Between the World and Me by Tennessee Coates. I encourage all white people to read Waking Up White by Debbie Irving. Yeah. I mean, and if you want to learn more about the mass incarceration, The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, that's also a great book.
What is it?
The New Jim Crow.
The New Jim Crow. I think I've heard that.
Yeah, by Michelle
Yeah, I'll have to look
Alexander.
at, look at that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. So much information, and I just so appreciate. I appreciate it. You
Yeah.
know. And I know we're getting towards the end. I was going to ask you to give a message, but I just want the show to go on and on and on and on. So I know you're going to be starting to looking into doing a show for yourself and for your other people. But I want to know if you can come, if you would come back and let us know how that's going and what you set up with that. You know,
Yeah,
how
definitely.
it goes. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
I really appreciate you, and I do want to see if you would like to give an audience a message from you, since it's towards the end of the show.
Yeah, I think I mean there's no such thing as passive anti-racism. So you have to do the work. If you really truly believe that Black Lives Matter, you want to be a part of the movement to begin to dismantle systemic racism. It's not about sharing posts on Facebook. It's about actually doing the work, supporting the organizations like Black Lives Matter, other Black-run organizations that work to fight and dismantle systemic racism and white supremacy. Yeah, and and I guess Black Lives Matter is just Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter.
So again, I want to say thank you, and I hope you come back soon so we can find out what you got up your sleeve next. I'm excited for this. I really am excited, and I'm glad we're going in that direction, and that you're going to take the feather and let it fly, as you say. So anyway, we will see you the next time on Walking Through Life when you come back. I'm really looking forward to that. This has been a very interesting show, and I'd like to encourage everybody to come forward and maybe do a show of your own or get to know CATV and how you can. So anyway, this is Linda Carbonell, and saying goodbye for Walking Through Life today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Walking through this life of mine, well, it's me so many things, like how to love and how to lose and how to